I'm Anil Kumar, and in this video we will learn how to approximately sketch a polynomial graph and how to find equation from the graph. So these are the two exercises which we will do. So let me begin by saying this is my polynomial. G of x is equal to, we'll take equation as x times x minus 3 whole square times x plus 1, let's say whole cube. So I'm taking different kinds of zeros here. This is a linear zero which goes through the origin. Here we have a quadratic zero where it is a turning point on the x-intercept at x equals to 3, and then we have a cubic zero here. And for this particular example, we'll sketch the graph. And another example we'll take up, and that is from the graph, we'll kind of find the equation, right? So that is what can be done, right? So let's say we'll just sketch a graph here, and from that graph, we'll try to find the equation. So let's sketch a graph first. Let me say the graph is kind of like this. Okay, so let's say it is kind of like this, and it goes like this here. Okay, let's say this is the graph. And from this graph, we'll find the equation of polynomial. So I'm just taking some approximate values here, which will help us find a possible equation. Let's say this point is at minus 3, and we have this point at 1. And this is the y-intercept for me. I'm not saying this is the maximum. And let us say this y-intercept is 4 for us. Okay. So that's the graph. We'll find the polynomial, which could represent this kind of a graph. Okay. Now, let us go to the first part, which is sketching a graph. To sketch the graph, we need to understand a few things. First is, of course, we want to find what are the zeros, right? So we have to find the zeros. And then we need to find their multiplicity or order. That tells you the behavior of the graph at the x-intercept. We can find the degree of this polynomial by adding these powers, since it is given in factored form, and most important, leading coefficient. Right, so for the time being that should help. And one more important thing is y-intercept. So y-intercept defines a graph. Otherwise, we're normally talking about family of graph, right? So here we have y-intercept, so we can be more specific. Okay, zeros. So what value of x will make this function 0? X equals to 0, that's the first one, right? X equals to 0. This will be 0 for x equals to 3, and this will be 0 for x equals to minus 1. Is it okay? What is the order? The order here is 1, since it's a linear. This is 2. There are 2 zeros here. And this one has 3 zeros. Order is cubic. Degree of the polynomial we're talking about. So degree is 3 plus 2 plus 1. So degree is 3 plus 2 is 5 plus 1, 6. So we have even degree. Leading coefficient. So when I multiply this x with, this will be x squared, this will be x cubed, I will get x to the power of 6 and times 1, right? So it is positive, we can say. It is positive. So basically, we are interested in sign of a leading coefficient. Y-intercept. Y-intercept is when x equals to 0. What is g of 0? Let's calculate. So g of 0 is the y-intercept. So if I put 0 here, I get 0. Do you see that? 0 times anything is 0. So it goes through the origin. Now, these two things here, even degree and positive leading coefficient, tells us something about the end behavior. So let me write down end behavior here. What does it tell us? So we have even degree. When I say even degree, that means both are facing on the same side. Positive leading coefficient means the right side up, right? So even degree means for us end behavior, same side. I'll explain you this. And positive means right up. Right up. Positive means right up. Now let me explain what I'm trying to say here, right? So we'll sketch also here. We'll make a very rough sketch. So we have 0, at 3, and at -1. So let's say we'll put the y-axis here. Now when I say that it is even, both the same side, and when I say positive leading coefficient, we are saying right up. Right up means kind of right side up. So this is my right side, it is moving upwards. Do you see that? So this is right up. Both same side means the end behavior. This is also upside. So the even degree function, the end behavior is both are going towards positive infinity as x moves over minus or positive infinity. Do you see that? So if x is going to positive infinity, y is moving to positive infinity. As x moves to negative infinity, y goes to positive infinity. So let me write this as x goes to positive or negative infinity, y approaches positive infinity. That is the end behavior. Okay? Now, from this data, what we have is y-intercept is 0. So this is y-intercept. Now zeros are at 0, so the y-intercept, 3 and -1. Let's say this is -1 for us, then 3 will be, let's say 1, 2, 3. Let's say this is 3 for us. So we got 3 zeros. These are the 3 zeros for us. The order of this 0 is linear. Order of the 0 here is quadratic, 2. And this order is 3. Now order decides the behavior of the graph. So let's start with the point here, which is at 3. Since we are coming from the positive side, 3 means that the graph will be kind of like this, the shape of a cubic function. Do you understand? It is not going like a straight line. Straight line means linear, which is at x equals to 0. So you're on this part of the graph, and this will be kind of like this, straight line. Do you see that? Straight line. And when we say at -1, I'm sorry, at 3 it was square. I just messed them up. Okay, let's go back. So we'll change the color. So let's go back. So at 3, this is at 3, we have square, not cubic. Cubic is at -1. Okay, let's get back to this. So at 3, so we're talking about this now. It is quadratic, right? So it is not cubic, as I said earlier. So quadratic means it will turn. We are coming from this side, it will turn. So it will turn like this. Is it okay? So we are on this side of the graph. At 0, it is linear, so it's going to cut across. And at -1, it is cubic. So you're here. So you'll move up, but that shape will be kind of a tilde, like this. Do you see this shape? Kind of like this. It will flatten and then move. Joining these points, we can get our graph. So let's see how to join them. So this graph is going towards like this. So that is going towards infinity. That's the end behavior. So it flattens out here, and then it has to turn so that it could go through the origin, and then it will kind of move, and then it has to turn back here and then go up like this. So the graph of this function will be kind of like this, right? So that is how your degree 6 polynomial will look like. And these zeros are at -1, which is cubic, at 0, which is linear, and at 3, which is quadratic in nature. And that's g of x. Do you see that? So that is how you could draw or sketch the graph of a polynomial from the given equation, right? I hope that's absolutely clear. Now let's get back to the second question. So in the second question, we are already given a graph. We have to write down the equation. Since we know the zeros, we can say there are 2 zeros here. So we have zeros at x equals to -3 and at x equals to 1. The order is, we can say, so we'll say a polynomial with minimum degree. Let's say minimum degree. Alright, so it could be order 2, order 4 is even. Minimum will take 2. Okay, so we'll say the order for this is at -3 it is 2, and at 1 it will be 3 because it's kind of cubic in nature, odd degree, right? So that gives us approximately a function. So we can say y is equals to a times, a value can be found from the y-intercept. First root is at -3, let's say x minus 3 will be x plus 3. So for x equals to -3, this factor 0, order is 2, so it will be squared. Do you see that? That's how we take care of order. Here, as you can see, order 2, right? So it turns, that is the corresponding position. X equals to 1, that means x minus 1 is the factor and it's cubic in nature. Is it okay? It's cubic in nature. So that is the equation. Now from this equation, how do you get the value of a? From y-intercept. So at y-intercept, x is 0, y is 4. So we'll write 4 here for y, a times 0 plus 3 whole square times 0 minus 1 whole cube, which is a times 3 square is 9 and 1 cube is 1, right? So 9a is 4. So we say 4 over 9 is equals to a. So that is how you find the value of a, right? Solving this equation using y-intercept. So y-intercept will be, so this is y-intercept. So that gives you the value of a, is it okay? That gives you the value of leading coefficient. Okay. Once you have the value of a, you can write the function as y equals to a is 4 over 9 and the factors are x plus 3 whole square times x minus 1 whole cube. So that is how you get the equation of a polynomial from the given graph, right? I hope it helps you to understand the concept. I'm Anil Kumar. You can always share and subscribe my videos. Thank you and all the best.